Gets away from Holmes, finds his way to the outside. McLaughlin turns him around. He sets and throws, and this ball is caught.
Well, what it is what it is. It has gone probably not the way we hoped it would the first two games. Probably as expected for a lot of people. Definitely not me. I said Colorado was better than most people thought because even Vegas only had 3 wins for them for the whole season, but I didn't think they were this good. And I'm telling you right now, Colorado, what I like about them, they're very disciplined, you could tell they're very well coached. So I'm really impressed with Deion Sanders and his coaching ability and the rest of his staff, because the one thing I will give, and going back through this tape play by play, the defense shined. And there's no doubt if it wasn't for the turnovers, we definitely would have beat Minnesota. Can't say that about Colorado, but we would have been in the game. The question I would have had if we didn't do that and we went down there and scored them points that we were down there, didn't miss the field goal. You know, this game's probably, Nebraska's probably ahead 13-0 or 13-3 because remember their first 10 points, Colorado's first 10 points was because of the turnovers. So the question would have been late in the game where you could just see the defense just getting drained. They were on the field so much. The high elevation, that's just Denver, Colorado. That will get you on a lot of teams. And the sad thing is you're limited on how many players you could bring when you're a visiting team. So you could see that they just got wore down. So the question is, if Nebraska would have been in this thing going into the fourth quarter, had the lead or been right there, could that defense dug back down and found what they needed to continue dominating this game? And even if you go back and look at this game, as much as they dominated, and you look and said, oh man, they just blew it at the end, the defense blew it. Go watch that game again. A lot of them they did not blow. It was Shedeur Sanders making a play, and I'm more impressed with this kid. I already said before this in my last video, this is a top 5 quarterback. When he gets drafted, he's going the top 5, maybe even number 1. He might be the best quarterback sitting right now. And will he leave for the pros next year? If he keeps playing like this, I think he will, because the only thing you could do then is take your stock down. Because I guarantee if he's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL draft, he's going. If he doesn't go, it's because he doesn't want to leave his dad. But I think Deion's going to be fine. He's impressed me. Bringing in, 87 transfers that's never played together, and in 2 months got them gelling together, believing in each other, tackling, just that everyday stuff that you see kind of Nebraska not doing. Of course, Nebraska is tackling, but like the turnovers, you don't see the turnovers with Colorado, and that's a lot of times you get that when you get new players and everything coming together. So you could tell they're well coached. So this team's a lot better than you think. And if I'm telling you right now, in a couple weeks, they got a rivalry game in Oregon State coming up this Saturday. But in a couple weeks, they get USC, and then they get Oregon, or is it Oregon then USC? Them are 2 top 10 teams. I think USC's even top 5. And if they could come out of them 2 games, then I'm telling you right now, you're going to see Colorado. You might as well go ahead and want to put some money down. Go ahead and put down Colorado to make the playoffs. Because if they win them 2 games, they're going to probably make the playoffs. I don't see, and don't get me wrong, Washington's really good. The Pac-12's got some decent teams in there this year. I see them making the playoffs. If they get past them 2 games, I see them making the playoffs. I don't see them losing a game. Maybe they beat Oregon and lose to USC in a close game, but win out the rest. They could make it, because then they'd make the Pac-12 championship game. So they're a lot better than people think. And if they do make the playoffs, and then what do you say? What's that say to you about Nebraska? Does that give you a different perspective on what you've seen on Nebraska? Because if you just take away them turnovers and them penalties, this game's different. It's really hard to judge how well Nebraska's really doing. You could see how well the defense is doing, but it's really kind of hard to tell overall how they're doing when they keep shooting themselves in the foot. They got a penalty here and there, or a penalty in the wrong spot, or they can't handle the snap, turn the ball over. They throw an interception. You got 8 turnovers in the first 2 games. You're not beating anybody. You're not beating a high school team. I think I had someone remark they couldn't beat a high school team. Yeah, they did what they did there. They're not beating a high school team. But it's not as bad as it looks, and I know everybody's tired of hearing it. I'm tired of hearing it. But I do see improvement. I always said I want to see improvement, and I know Rome wasn't built in a day. So you're not going to get everything solved in one summer. And I know a lot of you going, well, Deion Sanders didn't have a problem. Deion Sanders had a whole different team. Deion Sanders just told everybody else to leave and brought in his own players. So he doesn't have the same players. He ain't trying to make the same players believe in winning when they didn't win. Rule is doing what he knows best, and that is from the ground up. And he feels if he does it this way in 2 or 3 years, by the 3rd year, by 2025, you're going to have a winning team that's probably going to win at least 9, 10 games. And he's going to know he did a good job. And by then, them recruits are going to come in because he's going to have these camps and all that, what he had down in Texas and all that. He's going to continue doing that. And he's grabbing them young players, them 7th, 8th graders that are coming, and they're getting to know Rule and his coaching staff because that's who's doing it. So by the time they get up there and you get that 5-star player, they've already got a rapport with these guys, with this coaching staff. The ones who's taught them probably made them a 5-star. And I think that's going to mean a lot. You're not going to get them all, but then you're going to start seeing Nebraska grab some of the top high-level talent, and especially if they could start winning some games. So it wasn't as bad. I don't want everybody to harp on that. It's a shame if you even watch Michigan and them. Look who they're playing at the beginning. They're not even playing Power 5 schools. Nebraska had to start off with a conference game with Minnesota. And yes, Minnesota did too. And then with a Colorado team that's, I'm telling you, a lot better than people think, because I put them already on 6 wins before the season when Vegas was saying 3. I'm giving them now probably 8, 9. I actually think they could make the playoffs. That Shedeur Sanders and them wide receivers, because I'm telling you, if you'll go back and watch that, how many times you had this guy in the pocket and he scrambled out of it. And the one thing I loved about him, he's a better athlete than Casey Thompson, but the one thing Casey Thompson has, when he did scramble out, he was always looking downfield. And he made a pretty throw. He knew how to throw that ball. That's what Sanders is. When he goes and he scrambles out, he's looking downfield. He's very accurate. And the sad thing is he's even more athletic, so he could take off. But he only does it when he needs to. And with that talented receiver core, Casey didn't have that much talent. He had, went blank there. He had. But Colorado's got 3 or 4 I know of that are Power 5, NFL caliber wide receivers that know how to get open. And when Sanders scrambles out of that pocket and buys them time, you saw it. They got open. How many times did they have them 3rd and long, and then he'd scramble out, make a play, 1st down. So a lot of them points you saw at the end were given up when you really had it. If you got someone that wasn't as much athletic as him, when you get into the Big Ten play, you're going to have athletic quarterbacks, don't get me wrong, but they're not going to be like Sanders. He's probably the best quarterback you're going to see, and I'm even including Michigan in this game. I think Sanders is probably the best quarterback right now in college football. If not, he's definitely probably top 2 or 3. But he's definitely, to me, better than J.J. McCarthy. So I wouldn't be too discouraged. And trust me, I'd be talking to myself as well, because I get down on that. Even though I predicted Colorado to win this, but I was really, I knew I said that I knew they weren't going to solve all these problems and turnovers. And I said Sims is probably, this is his 3rd year. He already came in here leading the Power 5 in turnovers as a starting quarterback. And even though Rule's saying, hey, he's got this under control, obviously he has it. And you can see now when you get to watch him live, you can see a lot of it is he doesn't make his reads properly. He eyeballs his receivers, and then he tries to force the ball in there when he probably doesn't need to, and then they're getting picked. So if you haven't solved this problem by year 3, which he's in his 3rd year, I worry about if it's ever going to be solved with Sims. I think what you have with him is what you see. The questions you got to ask yourself are Harburg and Purdy so far behind him that they're not coming in when he's turned the ball over 6 times. And I know someone's brought up about, well, why they letting him play? They didn't let Grant play. Well, think about it. Grant and Gabe Urban are neck and neck in that starting position. The talent level between the two, there's not much difference. So when you make that kind of mistake, oh, guess what? It's the next man in. If Casey Thompson would have stayed, not only I thought he would have started, but even if he didn't, it wouldn't have took this. That in the Minnesota game, you would have saw Casey Thompson coming in probably after that second turnover, maybe even after the first, because I know Rule doesn't like that. The problem is the talent level to the coaching staff between the quarterbacks is such a big difference from Sims, and Sims so more athletic than the others. But I'm more willing to take my chances on Purdy for one, and if not, do it with Harburg, let him grow in the system. But if you're going to ride with Sims, if I got a feeling he's going to ride and die with Sims, then let's make it simple for him. Keep him under center. Let's run some more option plays. Bring in that fullback. Do some of the play action. Used to love them option play actions. The ones where you saw Tommy Frazier or Scott Fry, they would roll down the field, snap the ball, go down the line of scrimmage, like they normally do on a normal option, and then all of a sudden, boom, bounce back 3 or 4 yards, and the tight end would be wide open or that receiver would be wide open. Run some of them. Convince them this is an option play, and then, boom, hit it with them. Now you do need the blocking, and a lot of, I even noticed, let's put it this way, the blocking in the offensive line is better than last year. And I know a lot of people are going, no, it's not better. It is, because it was that bad last year. It's not perfect. It's still not great. But I saw some good, especially in the run game. I saw some good. I saw them moving the line. And even at times in the passing. Trust me, Casey Thompson wish he had this line when he played, because Casey didn't have any time. Sims is at least getting some time. But at times you see them falling apart when there's only 3 or 4, and I don't know why. They'd only bring 3 or 4 guys, and boom, they'd get in. It's not even like they're blitzing. But then at times they would pick it up, or they'd pick up them blitzes. So the question is, let's hope they get better as the season goes on. But if you bring it and simplify it with Sims to try to control the drop snaps and the interceptions that you've been seeing, let's bring in the power run game. And they got to get Grant in there. I understand he had to fumble, and yes, I hated it too, but he didn't see the field at all. And he's one of your better running backs. And since you were trying to ram it down their throat, it would have been good to see them. And I don't know, maybe his goal was to play Gabe most of the game and then bring in a fresh Grant at the end of the game or in the fourth quarter. But by then, because of the turnovers and all that already, maybe gave into that. I thought you should have started off and Grant didn't have this fumble issue. And I think now you're getting into his head, mainly when you're not playing him. We didn't see his fumble issue last year. I didn't, unless I missed something. So don't just take him off the field. Give him some snaps. Let him go in there. Let him prove himself. If it wasn't for the problem he had at the end of spring training, at the end of the fall camp, where he was turning the ball over, this wouldn't be happening. But you got to remember, if you go back and watch that Minnesota game where he fumbled that ball, that was a great play by the defender. He went in there and smacked that ball down and caused that fumble. He was going in there trying to do that. And I understand a lot of people say, well, that's your job holder. And it is. give the defender credit. If it wasn't for the end of the fall camp, he wouldn't probably be on the bench. He probably wouldn't be criticized. I'm not criticizing him as a fan. I don't think most people are. He's done some great things since he's been here with what little he has. So you need him. If you're trying to bring in the Big Ten style and bring in that fullback and maybe some option here, you need all three of them guys. You need Gabe Ervin. You need Anthony Grant. You need Ramir Johnson. So please, let's bring him back in. Now, Northern Illinois, they did come in here and beat us a couple years ago, and it's not the same Northern Illinois team, but they're not as bad as you think. Yeah, they did lose to Southern Illinois last week, and I know people saw that, but that's a rivalry game. That game's a big game to them when you play the North and South. It's like the Michigan State game. Would not surprise me when Michigan State played, they lost that game. I'm not predicting them to lose that game, but that's a rivalry game. That's a game you could lose. So that was the same with Southern Illinois and Northern Illinois last week. They could have also been going, well, you got Nebraska next week. And because Southern Illinois, that's the right, you never know. So don't criticize them. But I do believe this defense, our defense, is going to make a big stink in this. I think we'll be able to pound the ball. I think again, this is a team you probably could make a couple mistakes and get away with, but I don't want to see it. We've made enough for a couple games. We've made enough for the year. Just think about now, if you never turned the ball over again, you still had 8 turnovers in the year. And that still would be good, but to a lot of teams, that'd be bad. I'd say let's pound it to them. I think on this team, you'll be able to wear them down. You have the depth on them. It's going to be kind of like the old style. And like I said, if you throw in some of them play action options, well, then you don't have to worry as much about the ball being picked up because most of them receivers are wide open with nobody around them because they're trying to stop that run. And then if you make a bad throw or underthrow it, the receiver's got time to catch it. But I don't think this is going to be a problem in this game. I think Nebraska's going to come out with a victory. And if I had to guess, I expect it to be probably 35-3, maybe 35-7, with maybe Northern Illinois getting a score in late against some of the reserves. But I expect the defense to have a field day in this game, probably cause some turnovers of their own, and I expect them to keep them out of the end zone. I could see them scoring if, again, we turn the ball over, give them a short field, the defense holds them, but they're already in field goal range, and then they grab that 3 points or 6 points. But if we're talking about a clean game, I expect it 35-3, maybe 35-7, 6 or 7, with them scoring late on the reserves. If we have some turnovers or we turn the ball over and giving them a short field, then I could see them grabbing a couple extra field goals. I just don't see them getting in the end zone. Doesn't mean it can't happen. You've seen some blown coverages here and there, but overall I'm really impressed with this defense. No one's perfect. These are still some young guys on this defensive side. And so we got some, unless they leave us, we got some players we can look forward to seeing. And Wellen is looking great, and I'm telling you what, how many of y'all were impressed with Cameron Lenhart that first half taking over for Ty Robinson, man? If you really were impressed how well he played, hit that like button. Let's see how many are, because I know I was. He had 2 sacks in that game and mostly played just in the first half. I didn't want him to be taken out. I thought, yeah, bring Ty in. Well, let's try to figure out how to keep Lenhart, and I think we need to use him more because he looked like he was a veteran out there, and I was really impressed with him and Moellen. Overall, I think this is going to be our win. I'm going to go to this game. I'll give you a live post-game reaction after the game because I'll be at the stadium, and I'll give it to you either there or in the car. But my prediction is 35. I'm going to say 35-3. I like 35-3. I know 35, a lot of you are saying 35 and a lot against this team. This offense hasn't shown me. And I think the game's going to go quick if they're pounding the ball. And it could even be 31. I think 35 might be the most, but still, that's still a 32-point victory if it ends up that way. Or even if it's 35-7, that's still 28 points. So let's just get this W. Let's get some winning and let them feel what it feels like to win. and then go into the next week with Louisiana Tech, which is to me not as even good as Northern Illinois. So again, I want to thank everybody for watching. And if you don't mind, if you sign up for the country club membership, Throw the Bones, I give away the home game tickets for this year, and I'm going to be giving away the October. I gave away the September's last month, and I just gave away the Michigan game just a couple of days ago or a day ago, because I was going to go to that game and I couldn't make it, so I decided to go ahead and give it away. But if you do want to be part of that, there's only, I think, 4 or 5 people that are members, and so your chances of winning are extremely well. And matter of fact, there's only, I think, 3 that are Throw the Bones members. So if you jump on there, you got a 25% chance winning, because right now the guys on there is 33%, because 2 of them are just on support the channel membership, which I really do appreciate. But if you want to be part of that, just click that join button that you see right there next to the channel name. Sign up to Throw the Bones, and then September 17th, when I'll draw for the October games, I'll reach out and then put it on the community page, let everyone know who won it, and then that person can reach out to me where they want the tickets sent to. That way you got a good month to make arrangements depending where you live. Again, thank everybody, and if you haven't done so, please hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. This helps it get it out there. If you go to his webpage, www.thecharacterchronicles.com, and you see it on the Chronicle crew, and I'm in there with Connor Hayden and John from Corn Nation and them, and Don and all them. So you could even enjoy the videos there too if you want to see. Also buy some merchandise from Adam or see some of Adam's. You got a one-place shop to watch everybody's videos. So again, until the next video, go Big Red.